Chosen one. Stop scrolling. Take a deep breath. And listen carefully. Because what I am about to reveal may explain why your life has never felt like everyone else's. Why certain doors closed when you desperately wanted them open. Why certain people walked away when you tried your hardest to keep them. Why certain seasons lasted longer than you thought you could endure. And why, despite everything you have been through, you are still here. Chosen one. Have you ever felt different? Not better than others. Not more important than others. Just different. Have you ever felt like you could never fully fit into the boxes people try to place you in? Like no matter how hard you tried to blend in, something about you always stood apart? Maybe people called you too sensitive, too intense, too quiet, too deep, too ambitious, too spiritual, too much. And after hearing those labels for years, you started wondering if something was wrong with you. But what if I told you that the very thing people criticized was actually the evidence of your calling? What if the thing that made you feel isolated was the thing that made you unique? What if the reason you never fit in was because you were never meant to? My child, you were never created to be ordinary. The enemy knew this long before you did. That is why your battles were different. That is why your tests felt personal. That is why the pressure sometimes felt unbearable. Because ordinary people do not attract extraordinary resistance. Think about your journey. Why did certain attacks come against you so early? Why did disappointment visit you repeatedly? Why did betrayal seem to find you when you least expected it? Why did people misunderstand you even when your intentions were pure? It was not random. The enemy saw something in you. Potential, purpose, influence. And he understood something you did not yet understand. If you ever discovered who you truly were, you would become difficult to stop. So he tried to convince you that you were ordinary. He used rejection. He used failure. He used comparison. He used insecurity. And for a while, it worked. You looked at other people and wondered why their lives seemed easier, why their paths seemed clearer, why their opportunities arrived faster. Meanwhile, you were fighting battles nobody could see. But hear me carefully. You cannot compare your preparation to someone else's assignment. A seed and a tree do not grow at the same speed. A river and a mountain do not serve the same purpose. And your journey was never designed to look like theirs. Chosen one. The reason your life feels different is because your assignment is different. The reason your preparation took longer is because what you carry requires stronger foundations. I have been building something inside you that could not be rushed. Patience, discernment, wisdom, humility, faith. These are not ordinary qualities. They are the qualities of someone being prepared for more. But let me tell you something many people never realize. Being chosen does not always feel special. Sometimes it feels lonely. Sometimes it feels confusing. Sometimes it feels like being misunderstood in rooms where everyone else seems understood. Because when you are different, people often project their fears onto you. They call your confidence arrogance. They call your boundaries selfishness. They call your vision unrealistic. They call your standards impossible. Not because they understand you, but because they do not. And that misunderstanding has wounded you more than you admit. There were times when you wanted to shrink yourself. Times when you wanted to become smaller. Times when you wanted to stop standing out. You thought life would be easier if you were ordinary. But my child, you were never built for ordinary. You were built to grow beyond it. You were built to see what others overlook. You were built to feel what others ignore. You were built to notice what others miss. That is why your spirit often senses things before your mind understands them. That is why certain environments drain you. That is why certain people make you uncomfortable. That is why certain opportunities excite you even when they scare you. Your spirit recognizes things your natural eyes cannot yet explain. And the more you grow, the clearer that becomes. The enemy fears this, because a chosen one who understands their identity becomes dangerous to darkness. Not because they become perfect, but because they stop believing lies. And one of the greatest lies he ever told you was this: you are nothing special. Look at how many years he used that lie. Look at how many opportunities you doubted. Look at how many dreams you questioned. Look at how many times you talked yourself out of your own potential. Yet despite everything, you kept moving. You kept learning. You kept growing. You kept surviving. And that matters. Because ordinary people often quit when life gets difficult. But you didn't. You cried. You doubted. You stumbled. You questioned. But you kept going. And heaven noticed. Every silent battle. Every private prayer. Every lonely night. Every moment you wanted to quit but chose not to. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was ignored. Nothing escaped my attention. The world celebrates visible success. But heaven celebrates hidden faithfulness. The world notices applause. I notice endurance. And what I found in you was rare. A heart that kept believing after disappointment. A spirit that kept hoping after delay. A soul that refused to become bitter after betrayal. Do you understand how uncommon that is? Many people allow pain to change them. You allowed pain to teach you. That difference is powerful. And it is one of the reasons you were never meant to be ordinary. The next chapter of your life requires you to accept this truth. Because you cannot walk into extraordinary purpose while thinking ordinary thoughts about yourself. You cannot carry a greater assignment while agreeing with smaller identities. You cannot step into your future while constantly apologizing for your uniqueness. That season is ending. Stop apologizing for being different. Stop apologizing for growing. Stop apologizing for changing. Stop apologizing for wanting more. You were not created to stay where you started. You were created to evolve, to grow, to expand, to become. And some people will not understand that. Let them misunderstand. Because your destiny does not require universal approval. It requires obedience. Read that again. Your destiny does not require universal approval. It requires obedience. There are places you have not seen yet, blessings you have not touched yet, people you have not met yet, opportunities you have not imagined yet. And all of them are connected to the version of you that finally accepts who you are. Not who fear says you are. Not who rejection says you are. Not who your past says you are. But who God says you are. Chosen, valuable, prepared, capable, different. Not ordinary. And before I finish, I want you to remember one thing. The reason your life has felt different is because it is. The reason your path has been unusual is because it is. The reason your preparation took longer is because what you carry is heavier. Do not confuse preparation with punishment. Do not confuse delay with denial. Do not confuse isolation with abandonment. God has been building you, strengthening you, teaching you, preparing you. And one day, very soon, you will look back and realize that every battle had a purpose. Every setback had a lesson. Every delay had a reason. And you will finally understand why ordinary was never an option for you. Because you were born for more. You were called for more. You were prepared for more. And the time has come to stop living beneath what God placed inside you. If this message speaks to your spirit, comment, "I was never meant to be ordinary," and declare it with confidence. Because your next season begins when you stop doubting who God created you to be.